Okay, perfect. We are good to go. So, good morning. My name is Cassidy.
I'm Kai. It's very nice to meet you.
Very nice
Nice
to
to
meet
meet
you.
you too.
How is your morning going so far?
It's busy. I'm working on a paper, so I've been doing interviews. So I've been talking a lot for the past 2 days, and
Oh,
I got my second shot the night of Tuesday. So I'm still feeling like fatigue, and I just want to sleep all the time. Yeah. How is your morning going?
it's been good. We actually had our first class together right before this, so it's going good. Just getting ready for finals and finishing out the semester.
Oh my God, that's so soon.
Yeah, yes. I think like 2 weeks.
Are you on semesters or quarters?
Semester.
Oh, okay. That's why. Because yeah, we still have 5 more weeks here.
Oh, so you guys are on the
Yeah.
quarter system out there.
Yeah, yeah.
All
It
right.
feels like it's kind of ending early for us. So
I know it seems like ever since spring break, the semester's just flown by. It was super slow in the beginning, and now it just won't slow down.
I mean, yeah, but summer break, 10 weeks for me is always fast. Uh, there's no time to do anything once it started. Oh, midterms. Oh, finals. That's it.
Yes.
Sure.
Alrighty, so I guess we'll go ahead and get started then. So for the first,
Okay. Will you give me a little bit of a brief on what's this about? Like, what's this for? What kind of questions you'll be asking?
yeah, of course. So
Yeah.
this is for our global communication class. So
Mhm.
we had to reach out to some kind of media, either like journalist, filmmaker, some kind
Mhm.
of media professional that has connections and works also in another country. So we can
Mhm.
get a little bit more of an understanding of how media works
Yeah.
outside of our own country.
Okay.
So the questions that we have prepared today is mostly asking about like Palestinian media and a little bit
Mhm.
about your background, like the film lab, what you hope to
Okay.
accomplish with your work. So just along those
Okay.
lines. Perfect.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. So if you could please, how would you describe Palestinian media? When you were growing up, did you experience, how was like the media environment? Did you
Mhm.
experience any censorship?
Mhm. So, growing up, my first 13 years, I grew up in Amman, Jordan, so a different country. I don't remember even my parents consuming any Palestinian media at that point. The main channels were like the Jordanian local channel, the Syrian channel, and for the news, our go-to was the Israeli channel. They had one uh, that broadcast in Arabic. After I moved there, we had the events of the second Intifada in 2000, and that's the year I moved there. I started seeing Palestine more on the news, but again, it wasn't the local one because there's no infrastructure for the media. They had basic staff with basic equipment that they were not able to keep up with everything that's happening. So the biggest news would cover like Al Jazeera. I don't know if you've heard of it. Um, the BBC Arabia, all these like international news media, they would have correspondents um, in Palestine. And that's what got me interested in journalism, actually, that I wanted to be a war correspondent. But growing up Middle Eastern and how overprotective my parents are, my father, he was like, hell no. You're not going to a point of clashes and reporting. You're not coming home after midnight from reporting. No. You want to study journalism, it's fine, but you're not going to be a correspondent. I was like, okay, fine. So my media consumption, like I feel so bad to say this, but I barely watch the local Palestine TV channel for the same reason. So recently they started getting more funds. And as you may know that we're a country that's built on foreign aid, but mostly media and me coming from a background of art, we don't rank high on the aid list. It's mostly for food, for education, and my culture is more towards like science education, helping refugee camps. So art and media were not something that received a lot of attention from donors or even the local government. Like we have, I remember our TV, their headquarters, they were bombed. I would say in 2002 or 2003, and for a good few years after that, they were still using the bomb location to broadcast everything. One time I had an interview there, and I remember I had to walk through like broken walls. So after, I don't know when they moved, but now they moved into a new building with new facilities, new equipment. But this is how lack of infrastructure, like it was bad. What was the second part of the question?
If there was any censorship throughout like the media.
I would say yes. Again, it's a Middle Eastern country. And yes, I see that there's censorship now on social media, there's censorship on the TV. And because the TV channel is owned by the government, then automatically it broadcasts the message of the government. There are other TV channels for the opposition, which is now concentrated in Gaza Strip. And they also, so even though they send messages that oppose the government, but the sad thing about the situation now, it's like you feel there are two governments ruling the Palestinians, Hamas in Gaza and Fatah in West Bank. So those are the opposing parties. And each they have their own censorship and rules and regulations on what to broadcast.
Awesome. Do you find that there's quite a difference in the two that are broadcasting, like some of the media that one's putting out and the other one? Do you find that the content varies like drastically, or are they pretty much the same? Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and at one point, again, I told you I studied journalism, so we would study how different media outlets would cover the same event, and yeah, you would see. And I'm interested in textual and discourse analysis, so you would see how the wording even of the news makes a difference based on who's telling the news. Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you. I feel like this question might suit since we're on this topic. So like, how do you feel like as far, because you said that both broadcasting places, like they kind of like have like the different vibes and they kind of broadcast different things, like are very different. Like I wanted to know, like, how do you feel more about like towards like, do you feel like there's like a silencing within media in Palestine, or like more so like that there is an awareness of things happening in Palestine and world media, that type of thing?
So I can see two answers for this. So definitely there's silencing. So from the world media to what's happening in Palestine, there's a lot of the media framing of what's happening there is always unfair. And even if the issues of Palestine were mentioned in world news, it's always biased. Not always, like 90% of the times, to be fair. It's mostly biased. There was a study on New York Times headlines, and I don't remember the percentage, but a big percentage of the news was biased towards Israel against the Palestinians in their covering of the conflict, for example. I don't know, like, if I can say there's silencing of the local media from the local government. I don't think I have answer for that. I've never studied that. I know there's censorship, but I wouldn't say it's silencing.
Okay.
but I definitely the world news media, yeah, there is some kind of erasure to what's happening in Palestine, and the Palestinians as people. There's some kind of erasure of them.
So kind of going off of that censorship within the media, and I know you said, you mentioned even social media is kind of censored since it is controlled by the government. Are there any issues with freedom of expression or freedom of speech from like citizens over there? Are they able to post whatever they want? Is it mostly just what the government is putting out that's censored, or are people restricted in what they can post as well?
So I've never had a problem with that, but I know, for example, that we have to be careful about what we say, because we're being monitored by two governments, the Israeli and the Palestinian. So we have an extra layer of risk that we have to think about when you write something. I have friends who were in trouble for posting, and even if it's not political, I have friends who got into trouble for stuff they posted on social media. Nothing happened to me. But again, there's also the censorship from Facebook itself. Let's say I'm talking Facebook because it's the first thing that's coming into my mind. And again, there's another study that says Facebook censors a lot of posts about Palestine. So think of all these three layers that you have to think about before posting anything.
Yeah, that's quite a bit. It's definitely more than we could just go on Twitter right here and type whatever we want.
Exactly.
Well, like since you said that there is like some censorship and stuff, like what are some like stories that you would like to see covered like in the media about Palestine to like the rest of the world, maybe that you would like to share more of, like uncensored maybe?
It's I would like to see that they cover the news of Palestine as they cover the news of any other nation. I know there's no way, and you're studying media, and you know at this point you can never be objective in media, regardless of how much you try. But at least show things as they are. Show both sides. Show the struggle. Like show how a Palestinian going through a checkpoint, how does that affect their lives? Because everything is cause and effect, and it's always that the rockets that coming from Gaza. It's always the Palestinians that's thirsty for fighting, thirsty for blood. So maybe show more humane stories of. And even when they're not talking about the conflict, they're covering the government. I sadly say we don't have a strong government. So that's not helping. But I don't know, like show both sides of the story and let people judge instead of showing one side and ignoring the other.
That sounds fair. Yeah.
So I know you had mentioned too with Facebook that there's the censorship of Palestine. Do you like, ever experience any difficulties when you're trying to bring other media or even some of your work that you've produced over to the US? Or what kind of examples also do you see of the US being portrayed over in Palestine and like the Middle East area?
So I haven't had any problem. And you saw I'm doing research on national identity and self-representation. I've never had any problem publishing or talking about things here. I've been more vocal than I was back home, because I think back home everybody knows what's going on, but here I come to a country where people, if they know where I come from, many people thought I was from Pakistan. Many people are not aware of the place I come from, so I thought it was like, okay, it's on me now to do what the media is supposed to do. I haven't had any issues here, but in the past I had an internship with also it was an international broadcasting company based in Germany, and I produced a radio spot, and it was declined. And then